Great day to you all. It is a pleasure that I welcome you on Press Hour today. About 5 months of recess. I want to thank Moki Edwin Kenjika for keeping the program alive within this period. The bicameral Parliament of Cameroon is in session for the November budgetary sitting. On today's edition of the program, we are going to ask, why are the setbacks to the execution of the public investment budget obvious, but decades on end they look at us in the face? Is the problem elsewhere? We're going to look at that in the program. The Russian writer Lev Nikolaevich Tolstoy said, if everyone fought for their own convictions, there would be no war. With that in mind, we shall have a comment on the path to peace in the Northwest and Southwest regions. That's what we're going to talk about today, and we have a full house here already. We have with us an expert in budgetary matters, Madame Ari Tabenyang. She is the head of Division for Budget Controls in the Ministry of Finance. We have the mayor of WUM, Mr. Ndik Hambong Anthony, mayor of WUM, as I say. We have Richard Nde. Richard Nde Lajong is the publisher and reporter at the same time for the Herald Tribune newspaper. Patrick Moore, desk editor. Patrick Moore is the desk editor in the Guardian Post newspaper. And to the extreme left of the set, we have Bless Aminde Atabong, freelance reporter and editor. These are the people with whom we're going to examine the matters in hand within the next 1 hour. First things first, Emanuela Vemnui has what the newspaper said during the week. Emanuela?
The press week in Cameroon was busy as always with diverse news stories occupying different newspaper columns. Players for the Qatar 2022 World Cup qualifiers, time for the truth. Headlines, Cameroon Tribune. As huge playoff task awaits Lions after their 1-0 victory over Cote d'Ivoire in Cameroon Insider, sending Cameroonians on their knees as they pray for easy opponents in the final stage in the post-weekend. Just when African construction sites have been given 10 days to finalize work on the lone bilingual daily, the paper indicates the high interest for FECAFOOT presidency, whose election is being prepared as FIFA and CAF failed to convince Eto'o to back out of the election. In the Guardian Post, the ace footballer, according to the Horizon, has by this act lost CAF and FIFA endorsement for the FECAFOOT top job. Yet confident of himself, Eto'o submits papers for the position in Cameroon Insider. House Speaker of the National Assembly then makes a rallying call for all Cameroonians to support effort towards the successful AFCON hosting in Cameroon Insider. This during the November plenary sitting, wherein MPs worked on 6 bills, Finance Bill for 2021 and more in Cameroon Insider. While Minister Felix Mbayu briefs MPs on complications of international laws on national laws in the Horizon, government then tabled bills to protect rights of persons with disabilities in the Guardian Post. Blood spills again in the Northwest and Southwest regions as 8 security members and a civilian are killed by gunmen in the Horizon. Separatist fighters kill 11 soldiers in Santa and Bengui. In the Post newspaper, summing all these bloodshed, the Eden sees a worse than black but bloody red in the Northwest region. Then one is killed and another injured in Boya as military allegedly opens fire on a secret society in the Guardian Post. Coming after a pupil was gunned down in Bamenda, provoking protest in the Horizon, before the Star informs that the police who shot the kid has been arrested. Then probe into the incident is said to be underway in Cameroon Insider. As if that wasn't enough, Amber fighters again invade, wreak havoc in Baliram, burn down Fon's palace, shops, business structures, and force the population to eat raw pepper in the Guardian Post. In Kumbo, soldiers in search of Amber fighters ransack Shison Hospital, torture guards, molest patients and health officials. In the Guardian Post. And immediately US, UK, Canadian, Swiss embassies weighed in, condemned recent attacks on the Herald Tribune, a condemnation seen by Newswatch as another weak call for genuine dialogue. This at a time thousands remain stranded following military shutdown of Kumbamamfe Road. In the Guardian Post, renowned Nigerian prophet then makes startling revelation on Amber fighters in the same paper. According to his prophecy, Amber fighters will massively drop arms and end up preaching the gospel. But in the meantime, the Post newspaper chronicles the Anglophone crisis during the past week. Cameroon Central African Republic remodeled military cooperation envisaged to reinforce cross-border security. The power tussle that goes dirty in the Limbe City Council provoking SDO's intervention, the assurance that goods of mass consumption are available in quantity and quality for end-of-year festivities, and Cameroon's intention to win presidency of Pan-African Youth Union also included stories reported by the papers this week. Let's now end our press review with this story in the Guardian Post, where Cameroon is once again listed on World Bank's heavily indebted poor countries list. This comes after Cameroon had reached its completion stage in 2006. The HIPIC initiative ensures that no poor country in the world ever faces debt burden it cannot manage. Until I come your way again, this is your Hour with the Press.
Thank you very much, Emanuela. We look forward to having you come next week, God willing. You talked about most important things that you highlighted there. You talked about sport, plenary sitting, national that's parliament, continued killings, the Northwestern Southwest region, heavily indebted poor country initiative. We are going to take two of those topics. We cannot go back to talk about what we are going to talk about, but there's something you started and dwell so long on: sports. Cameroon preparing to host the AFCON 2021. Just one word. We're going to start with Richard there. How are you preparing as an individual? Cameroon is preparing, you are part of it as a country.
Well, I think I would say the Indomitable Lions is preparing. I'm also preparing to watch the opening encounter, waiting that the tickets are put on sale. Then I will go to get mine. But then, in order not to disappoint the fans, the supporters of the team, I think that the team still has a lot to do as far as the playing style is concerned, because if they play the way it is now, I'm afraid we may not cross the second round of the competition.
Well, that's your opinion. We have crossed this one with that team. Patrick?
I think I would not want to limit my comment on the preparedness, level of preparedness of the Indomitable Lions, but I'm more concerned about the finishing touches with some of the projects, AFCON projects. I think we really need to tidy up our cities. I was in Douala recently. I think a lot needs to be done because we'll be receiving thousands of visitors who are coming in, and I think there are certain things that we should get off the road before they come in, like the garbage heaps and so on along the streets of Yaoundé. We have been colonized by garbage.
Agreed. I don't think there's any person who can disagree with that. Madame Marie Tabena.
Yeah, thank you, but I don't want to go into the details because I know technicians are there doing what they are supposed to do. All I know is that we are going to have a beautiful game. I'm optimistic. I'm looking forward to that day. We are all going to witness Cameroon host the world and the Africa continent in general. And I'm very, very happy to be part of it, to witness it in my lifetime. I'm just waiting when the tickets will be out for sale. We will be there to cheer up the Indomitable Lions. They are playing on the field. We are spectators cheering them up because I know we are going to go past the first stage.
Thank you very much. We are all optimistic. The mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Priyan. I think that I have been a footballer and a football manager. I manage Menchum Eagles Football Club, and so I'm so passionate when it comes to football. You imagine each time Cameroon plays, if they don't win, I go sick.
If the player misses it in the field, you score it.
I score it.
You kick the table.
I'm very, very optimistic. And it's a wonderful moral booster for the players for the recent qualification to move to the next stage of the qualifiers. It's a very wonderful booster for the country as regards the upcoming African Nations Cup. And I think that we have the infrastructure. The little problem is the road infrastructure, which really needs to be improved. If the road infrastructure in Cameroon is improved, I'm very sure I'm optimistic we can even host the World Cup. Why not?
Blaise, you are a freelance. You report across the borders. How are you going to take the reporting of AFCON 2021 in Cameroon?
Yeah, personally, I've already applied for accreditation. I'm looking forward to host some foreign colleagues who will be coming to cover the game. And I want to wish luck to the Lions and follow them to intensify preparations, and we leave the rest to the gods.
Thank you. We do what is at our level, and God will do the rest. We trust God. That said, we're going to move into our comment. We're going to move on the comment. The comment is, we have known so much. Path to peace. We have problems continuing in the Northwest and Southwest. The last week, as the newspapers reported this time, we had so many other killings and movement. We're going to start with you, Richard. We started with you at that time. We have initiatives.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of initiatives that are being made towards the path to peace as far as the crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions is concerned. In fact, it's the armed conflict, not just a crisis, but the armed conflict, because it started as a civil kind of disobedience, which ended up with some disgruntled Cameroonians or young people taking up arms against the state. And like you said, a lot of initiatives are being made to make sure that we move towards the path of peace. It started in 2019 with the Major National Dialogue, even though we are still to actually benefit the fruits of that Major National Dialogue. And if that dialogue was meant to solve this armed conflict in the North and Southwest, I think that the method which government used at that particular point wasn't the best, because instead of bringing on board the belligerent, the government brought in people who knew nothing about the crisis. The second thing, which the most recent, which I think it's like a way forward towards peace, is the Toronto talks, which held a few weeks back. And I think that from the discussions that have gone on after that talks, there is evidence, there's a sure fact that we are moving towards peace, because those who are concerned were actually those on board who sat to discuss, to look for a way forward. And that probably that was not the first meeting. I'm aware that they are still planning other meetings to make sure that they actually come on the table and discuss and see how peace can once again return in the Northwest and Southwest regions. And to maybe before I give the microphone to others, there was also this issue of Swiss talks, where they're asking the Swiss government to mediate and bring the two parties on board. I don't think that has actually been shelved aside. It is still in progress, but we think that it is taking so much time and people keep dying. We think things have to be done as fast. I mean, they have to fast track.
Thank you.
To be sure that things are done properly for peace to return in these
That
two
is
regions.
what all of us wish for. Patrick?
Yes, just like Richard was saying, I think that what we need at the moment is concerted effort, because I don't think there's one particular event or one particular initiative that will be able to bring the war to an end. And that's why at this moment, I think every effort counts.
Yes, individual,
yes. Collective effort. I think every effort counts. And that's why I want to use this opportunity to appreciate the effort of founders and members of the Mbindumle humanitarian organization who have been doing a lot within communities in the Northwest, especially in Benchum, where we have some kind of tension at the moment, which is a little bit different from the tension that is being observed elsewhere in the Northwest and Southwest. Tension because it appears now to be a war between Muslims and the natives, especially in Wum. We have had attacks by the Awusas in Wum and other members of the Muslim community. So there appear to be some kind of boiling tension.
Through individual?
Yeah, so through individual effort, like I cited the case of the Mbindumlo humanitarian organization, they have been able to meet the conflicting parties, the Muslims and the natives, in order to seek common grounds on how peace can be restored. And I think at the moment, WUM is currently enjoying some relative calm. And
that's great
thanks to individual efforts and the efforts of groups that I've just mentioned. So like I was saying, it is very important that all hands should be brought on deck at this point in time. No person, no group should be left behind. Women, the youth, humanitarian organizations, religious organizations, they have to be brought on board because, like I said, there's no magic wand to the crisis that's ongoing. The conference that held in Yaoundé in the guise of a dialogue alone cannot solve this conflict.
Yes, that was already a step. Yeah. And you just talked about women, and close to you, next to me, is Madame Marie Tabenyang, who is a woman. And we are told, we know that women and children suffer so much more in this war, more than even those who are exchanging their guns in the battlefield. Madam Ari, women have been doing much. How far can you go as women too?
Yes, actually, women have been doing so many things to make sure that peace comes back to the two restive regions. I am a woman, I am a mother. One life lost is too much for us to bear. Women have been doing so many things. We had the women conference here in late July that brought in women from all walks of life, NGO, women group from the Northwest and Southwest regions and other regions in Cameroon. They came together, we all came together to seek for a pathway to peace, because we have been and children have been suffering for the past 4 to 5 years. It is so unbearable. As a woman, you cannot just sit back and watch your children die. Your children are dying for things that can be solved without violence. So it is a two-way thing. It's something just go to the same way, the same direction that party took, that it should be a broad-based solution. It is not no one party will broker a solution for peace to return. It is all of us, women group, other non-governmental organizations should put hands on deck so that we seek a solution that will be a lasting one for all of us. Because with the present dispensation, women are always looked as people who want peace and development. Like, take for example, the Southwest Women for Development have been doing a lot of underground things to make sure that peace comes back to those two regions. And I know that if we all work under the direction of the Ministry of Women's Affairs, women can make a difference, and women should be at the forefront in together with the other stakeholders to make sure that we can seek a lasting solution to the problem plaguing our region.
Thank you very much, and kudos to all the women. We remember that at one or other level, we have seen mothers, we have seen younger women, we have seen even those who are so old come out and organize morning sessions when some of those things happen. We want to praise your effort, and we are praying that everybody gets involved. Every woman is for this to end. Mayor, we are coming to you. You are an elite of the Northwest by your qualification.
Yeah, sure.
Some of you are supposed to be those who are supposed to go and talk to these people and say that, yes, what's the role you are playing? Are they not listening to you? What's happening?
Yeah, thank you. I want to be very categorical and to be very factual in the way I'm going to put these particular points. The first thing is I come back to the words of the Speaker of the National Assembly during the ongoing parliamentary session, where he recommended that funds should go back to their different villages. I want to say that all leadership, elected or appointed, is leadership ordained by God, Romans 13, which means that no matter what, the population cannot continue to reject some of us. We have been elected, we have been voted. So we have a right and a responsibility to take care of the populations that have been entrusted in our hands. So there's every reason that the elites have to go home as at now. To add to what the other speakers have said, we have to go back home.
Do you go
because
home?
I go home. I'm regularly in home.
Okay.
And to assure you, part of the peace that was in home because of it was the trust, the confidence that the population at one moment get to some of us, and we're able to put our heads together. Because I want to, what is happening back home, be them the armed state group, be them the military, there's a level of frustration. I want to tell you, for example, you take a military man that has stayed away from his family for 5, 6 months, 8 months. There are others even for 1 year without seeing his family. There's some level of frustration. And he pulls the trigger, not because he actually wants it, because of part of frustration. And that can only be handled if the elites, the military, the administration are there together to put their heads together and see how to find lasting solutions. And I want to assure you, in 2018, I had experience. One of the challenges is that once the other party realizes that you are working only for this particular group, you have a problem. So it's good to bring the parties to make everybody understand that you are there for the general interest. I was elected as a mayor to be a mayor and an elite for all the inhabitants of that municipality, not only for a particular race of people.
Okay.
And so once you are able to do that, once they see that you are there for justice, for things to work out, for you to bring calm, for you to make people together, for the progress of the place, people begin to listen to you. And that's the only way when those of us, the elite, we decide to put aside fear and be courageous to go back home and see what together we can do.
Thank you.
To bring lasting peace.
Thank you very much. We're going to move over to you, Blaise Aminde Atabong. We also know that we've been talking about people here. Foreigners and international organizations are also concerned about what's happening in our country, and some of them have been participating. What's the role of such international organizations, NGOs, and some other specialized groups? Blaise.
I think at the level of international intervention, most of the foreign powers have been paying lip service to the crisis. All of us want to see the crisis end, but I think these governments that have the powers to lobby the central government, which has much of the honors to end the crisis, are not actually doing what they are supposed to do because of some particular interest. We understand that countries like the US, Britain, France, they have that power to really lobby the government to get into real negotiations with the separatists in order to bring an end to this conflict, but we haven't been seeing that. So I think it's also important that at individual level, we need to talk to the belligerents. We all know we have brothers who are separatist fighters. We also have brothers and sisters who are in the central government. I think we have seen in other countries where little solutions or little actions have triggered the need for people to take action. Like there was one time in Kenya where women decided that they're not going to sleep with their husbands if their husbands don't do take certain action. So if we start seeing some such little actions at the level of the African crisis, maybe there will be a pathway.
Well, I'll continue to you. I have no comment on that. Did it work in Kenya? Did it work?
Yes, it worked.
Okay. Now we have the party worked. Everything that can work, we were we want to bring that on board to make sure that it ends, because everybody will be happy with the end of the armed conflict. I stay with you, Aminde. We're going to look at this together. There is this aspect of the population, the local inhabitants. Every life matters. But it looks like their reaction is not the same. The population has a very important role to play to end this crisis. What do you think that they should do?
Okay, at the level of reactions, I've had the opportunity to report from the field several times in the northwest and in the southwest regions. What we realize is that the level of protection which is being accorded to local inhabitants is not sufficient. So at times when certain actions happen, the reaction of the population is different. Let's take, for instance, a small locality like, let's say, Kumbe, or let's say Mato. Maybe there's something that happens there and the population is reacting. If that atrocity was committed by a separatist fighter, the reaction would be different if it was committed by armed forces. Let's take the case of something being committed by armed forces. People who go out to protest, they certainly know that they will be marked, and maybe after they will be beaten. So you can always understand that the way the separatist fighters will react to a protest will be different from the way the army will react to a protest. So I think that is what is actually happening on the ground. So the level of reactions cannot be different. But it doesn't mean that people don't feel the pinch when atrocities are committed by both parties.
Mr. Mayor, the population can play a role to end this.
Yes, we have heard how it has happened elsewhere. Even in my locality, it has happened that the women came out and they had to march to the SDO's office to protest about certain things, especially the recent kidnappings too that way. That resurfaced in whom they had to protest. So the population has a fundamental role to play, because the military, if you get into a locality, you might have about 15, 20, maximum 50 of them, but the population is there in their thousands. And what I can say as far as this is concerned is there has to be total from the beginning. The same person, for example, let a military man, let the population knows that the military is there to protect them. By being able to associate with them, go down, buy certain things from the population, interact with them. We have seen that happen with administrators, and we have seen the results, the wonderful results we have also had. I want to be honest, it is time for us to solve this problem. The crisis has prolonged for too long. The population has a great role.
Really,
and that role can only be achieved, Killian, I'm telling you, that role can only be achieved if there's total collaboration between the population and those who administer them.
We need that.
I think what the mayor said about total collaboration, it is good. But sometimes when you see this collaboration, those who collaborate are being victimized. We have seen cases where people are tortured because maybe they sold to the military, or that this person went and gave food to the military. And what do they tell you? Black leg. They come for you because you have that collaboration, or that kind of collaboration with the military. But I think
we're asking, that is it.
I think,
How
Killian,
can we come out
it is necessary. I think it is necessary. We need to educate the public to understand that we need that collaboration between the military and the population, and of course with the non-state armed groups and the population.
And who has to educate the population?
No, you and I, as individuals, we need to educate them. Through this said, we are still educating them.
Yes, right. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the newspapers. So everybody has to be on board to educate the local population to know that there's no reason now.
He's raising a point. What have you done? You are a publisher and reporter of your newspaper. What have you done to educate the population?
No, I think I've been doing that in my write-ups. For example, the other day, I saw a message in my phone. I mean, the bullet. But I thought that sharing this thing will instead create some fear in people's mind. I decided to and delete it.
Okay.
Some other person will take and immediately share. That is what we should avoid. Those with the Android phones, when you receive certain information, please delete. Instead of forwarding and sharing, delete.
Very good.
When you delete, you save a situation.
Yes, Patrick.
Killian, we are talking about the asymmetric warfare here. It's a situation that's very complex to manage. When you want to start imagining a very fruitful civilian military cooperation, it's virtually really almost slightly impossible with the kind of warfare that we find ourselves in. Because you can imagine that in the northwest and southwest, those children who are in the bushes, they are sons and daughters of the residents of, in most cases, residents of those areas.
No, but then that's instead easy.
No, just listen.
We know them.
Can you permit me to develop my point to the end?
Go ahead.
Now the issue is, the military has not given reason, to me, largely, to those communities, they have not given them enough reason why they should cooperate with them, because they see the military in most cases as external forces. And now those voices who are in the bushes are more or less their sons and daughters. It will be difficult for those community members to say that in this forest those boys are located.
Well,
now, just listen to me. When you
let me show you this.
When you can imagine a situation where we have a civilian military cooperation,
you have made a point.
The military should be able to present the human face.
Patrick,
yes.
Have you not taken note that what was happening before between the military and the population has changed?
Well, I don't know.
Is it not a fact?
Maybe going by your observation, to me...
is it not a fact?
To me, nothing has changed, because there is still that mutual suspicion between the community. Like the mayor said, the military should be able, they should be seen as people who have come to protect those community members, and not those who have come to rather cause atrocities like the atrocity burnings and all of that. If you burn somebody's home today, you cannot expect that same person to collaborate with you tomorrow by identifying the house of a fighter. The point is, like I said, our military, they need a lot of training on human rights and warfare in terms of minimizing the excesses in terms of atrocities, because those atrocities are rather growing every day.
Right now, they have minimized. To be very frank,
they have not minimized. They have not minimized. We are rather seeing more great.
Somebody has to speak.
The point I made, that the fact that they are military, they are also human beings. They are also sons and daughters of other children, and they also go through frustration. Some of them abandon their families for 7, 8, even 1 year without seeing their families.
Very good.
But that's not a justification.
Can you imagine the trauma that they can also be going through? That trauma can enable you to, I said it from the beginning, can help you to pull the trigger without necessarily thinking that was what you had to do.
Thank you. We're going to move out of this topic with you, Madam.
Yes, just like you said earlier, that all life matters. Whether it's a military life or a civilian life, all life matters. And it is something that it should be a two-way solution, which means that we, the population, should be able to condemn the separatist excesses as well as the military excesses. If you look, in the beginning of the struggle of the crisis, the military strategy was very hard. It was very hard on civilians, but they have changed. We have noticed that the approach now is different. It's different. It means that they are looking for peace. They want to make the civilian know that they are there for the civilian. So it's a matter of suspicion. The separatists are suspecting the military, while the military is having an impression that the population is not fair with them. They are being unfair, because in most cases, when you see they kill a civilian or a separatist, people will come out to march, to reivindicate because those killings. And then when you see a civilian kill, they tend to jubilate. To me, all lives matter, and all of us should know that if one person dies, it is somebody who has died.
Thank you so much. I just want to add something. Take the case of Befang. People had deserted Befang. But when they realized that the military came and built the bridges that were being destroyed, they saw it as a way of now coming to protect them. People started settling back, and now the whole place is settled. Along from Bamenda right to Womb, you could not see souls.
Thank you.
Today they are saying that the military came there to help them, to assist them live well. Once they see that the population, they are also human beings, they will make sure that they come and settle. They are all settled around the Bamenda Womb.
Thank you. We want to see that more and more. That is what we wish for on this program, and we are going to move out of this topic. Just hold your peace, this transition. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you are on Press R. We are broadcasting live from Yaoundé. Next topic is on public investment budget. We know that the country has to be transformed infrastructurally, especially by the public investment budget. When we hear about the development plan, whether it is biennial, triennial, it is mostly that public investment budget that has to move us from where we are to go forward. And what we also know is that this budget for decades on end have been having problems of execution. We've had 47, 49% execution for several times this year. That is 2020 rather, because we are not yet 2020, 2021. It has come up 1 month or so to the end of the year to about 52% execution. What happens that we cannot go up to 80%, 90%? The problems are usually lack of this, lack of that. If we know the problems, what is happening? What does it take? We have an expert from the Ministry of Finance here, Madam Ari Tabenyang, who is the head of division for budgetary control in the Ministry of Finance. The budget, we're not going to talk about the budget of that is being examined this session at the National Assembly, because we don't talk about things that are still going to be modified. We're just going to talk about budget, what has happened before. Madam, what is put into the conception of a budget that generally we see problems happening?
Okay, when it comes to the conception of investment projects is in broader terms is a project that has a socio-economic impact on the population. Investment project is a project that is made up of a set of investment operations that seeks to grow capital for the state or seek to achieve the objective of a public policy, which means that before a project is inscribed in the budget, it has to first of all conform to certain particularities. For example, a project should be unique in the first. It should be unique. It should be able to create an impact to the population. It should be something that is open, that you can execute it anywhere, because projects are earmarked for general interest of the population. Because I, as a citizen of Cameroon, I, as a taxpayer, and I, as a user of public service, am expecting a lot coming from the government, which means that projects are there to make sure to improve the livelihood of Cameroonians. It's not all projects that have a socio-economic impact that will come into the budget, because budgeting constraints need to come into play. We cannot do everything in one budget year. It means that we have to prioritize. So the project that will inscribe in the budget should be the project that are mature, that have a level of attractiveness to the population. Yes, it should be attractive, because an unattractive project will not incite the population to adhere in what the government is trying to do. So in the past, we have noticed in the execution of the public investment budget that there have been a lot of problems, which at the end of the day, we see abandoned projects that have not been executed. We don't know the problem, but we try to with the Ministry of Public Contract, try to evaluate, and the Ministry of Economy try to evaluate to know the problems. And in our evaluation, we realize that most often the stakeholders don't master the procurement process. They don't master the procurement process. And secondly, some of them don't want, those who master the process, they don't want to respect it, because budget is a discipline. Budgeting is a discipline that you need to clearly lay down rules and regulations that we need to respect. If we don't respect, we'll end up doing things that will be in contrary to what we are supposed to do.
Now, one of the problems that came up was that a budget that ends 1 year, a project that ends within 1 year was too short a time, and you brought in this concept of performance-based and moved from 1 year to 3 years to carry on a whole kind of project. What happened that this is almost not working like when it was just 1 year?
I can say that the stakeholders, they don't really master the pluriannual nature of budgeting. The budget remains annual. The budget is voted for 1 year.
But projects,
but we work on a 3-year objective. If triennial objective is based on a 3-year objective, it means that if they make an allocation, let's say, for example, 100 million, you need to attribute the contract for the year end, and then on execution for the contract 100 million. It is the payments according to the evolution of work done that follows the 3-year period, which means that if you don't attribute a contract within the year that it was allocated, you will not be able to attribute it in the second year. So the baseline is that you make sure that if there is an allocation for a given project, you attribute the project on the year of allocation, and then the other 2 years you will be able to execute it to completion. But the problem is that we have a system of procurement that people don't really master it. People don't want to, so in certain localities, people don't want to apply to execute contract, let's say in the Northwest, Southwest, and Eastern North region.
Whose fault? That these
because of the security problem, people are not very sure that they'll be able to execute those projects. So at the end of the day, we end up with projects that have been allocated, but the execution is not there, and the state is not going to pay for work, for job that has not been executed.
Now, let me just recall this before the mayor comes in. The first sitting of the National Follow-up Committee for the public investment budget was held earlier this month. And the two regions that came out first, you have Adamawa, that is first, with Alba 76% execution. You have the North, that has about 72%. And at the bottom of that chart, you have the center, that's second to last, and then you have the Northwest, that is last. We cannot say that and the center is not in war. That's one I want to say, that you were going to talk about Northwest, Southwest. When you are talking about that, as you talk about it from a general point of view before you go to specificities.
Yeah, thank you, Killian. I want to start by asking Madam. We used to have in those days we used to have the Ministry of Economy and Finance. Today we have finance and
the economy and finance. Today we have finance, we have economic planning and regional development.
I want to ask, because what you just said is Minipat that's actually in charge of that. Minipat execution rate, it's supposed to be taken into consideration in doing the next budgeting for the following financial year. For example, I studied local administrations in Africa, which I did in Korea. There, go to your internet and ask for Simao Undong movement. You see what is happening there. What happened? Korea developed because at one moment they used that execution rates. The state gave out some money, gave back bags of cement to different communities. The communities that executed well, the next financial year, they doubled and tripled the amount to encourage them. Those that took that money and did not do anything, they were not given anything. And so they became so worried. The following year now, the third year running, everybody was very engaged in execution. We are talking about 40-something, 50-something% state execution. And yet, people are there with projects and money which has been given to them. Take it and give to those who can work. We all want to develop this country. Give it to those who can work. For example, my council in the last quarter before this one, I was first in the region. But then I don't know
what execution rate.
I was at 70 in July. I was at 72-point-something%.
Okay.
Execution rate, 72-point-something% in July. Okay, today I asked the question when the teams came from Minipat. How do you encourage those councils that have been able to come out with high execution rate? How do you encourage them?
What was the answer?
The answer was that they will take it back to the central decks. We are still waiting to see what can happen, because we need to encourage them.
Okay.
So that next, I want to come back again, Killian, as far as this budget execution is concerned. We have, unfortunately, for the past, the Code on Local and Regional Authorities was voted and promulgated in 2019. But since then, we have been waiting for it to be completely executed. We know. Yamin has even said during seminars to us that the state gives out about 20% of the state budget to councils. But I want to tell you that it's not the case. It's the case because they gave that way. But then when you go into the individual councils, what we are claiming we want is that, for example, we go to Mindever. Mindever knows, every year the mayors know that Mindever is going to give us 100 to execute projects. Mintepe, Minister of Public Works, is going to give us 27 million to execute a project. Let us have something like that from all the decentralized ministries, that this amount of money is going to go to the councils.
Now, before I go, that is one of the problems.
Yes.
The point now is that the local public service is not competent. Can you deny that? You don't have some of the people, it is said, she is going to confirm that some of the projects that are not, is because the reports don't come up early, because competence, consultancy is not done the right way.
Yeah, why is that problem?
You confirm that?
Yeah, it's confirmed. True, I can also confirm. But where is the problem? The problem lies in the fact that, I'll give you an example, the tender boards which have been given to councils. When MIMA was running tender boards, they gave the means. They were the ones sponsoring tender boards. You have not given us the means. How the tender boards? What means have you given us to be able to execute? We have the local public service, which is part of the code I just mentioned here. What have you done to train those technicians? You want to carry out a project. Madam, just talk about maturation of project.
Is it part of the training with the resources? You can initiate that and train yourself.
That's what I'm saying. You have to have the means to be able to do that. To mature a project, you have to meet a divisional delegate of this or that to be able to. Why can the state not devolve those powers? Train and give to us, or they give us the means.
Mr. Mayor,
my problem is
there is NASLA,
yes,
which is now your backup.
Yeah.
How many of your staff have you sent to NASLA?
Yes, I want to say that before coming to Womb Council, that council since 1987 they have never sent a staff, but for now, I have 2 that have been trained, that I sent as a mayor. There's 1 who is undergoing training now in NASLA. But let me tell you, most of the things that have been done in NASLA for now is Secretary Generalship and Council Finance Officer. Those are the, we are still waiting for
let's
the rest.
give room for other people to participate, beginning with you, Patrick.
Yes.
Or maybe you should react to what he has said.
Let me react.
It's more or less a two-man panel now.
Let me react, because the problem is, it's not a problem of bad faith. It's not a problem of bad faith. It's a problem of being real in what we are trying to do. Because we will not go and put projects that we know that those projects will not be sustainable. The problem here is sustainability. Is the administration ready to cover all the investment that we are going to execute? So that is why we have a project bank. That projects that are mature are registered in the bank, and at the end of the day, because that project coming from the grassroots, most projects coming from the grassroots, the project that we have to execute with the 100 million fund should be projects that are mature, that immediately there is allocation, it is ready for procurement. Okay. Because the problem is that the people send projects that are not mature, and when the credits are there, that's when they start looking for maturity elements. They want to change the location, and it causes a lot of problem, and it causes a lot of delay. That is why we find ourselves in the problem that we have. Yes,
party will go. They're going to contractors also have a role to play in this.
Yes, I think it's a whole chain. I just wanted to throw a little bit support to what the mayor of whom just said about the various decentralized ministries actually surrendering those powers to the local councils. I think it's going to go a long way to really help boost the development aspirations of local communities, because you see there's a lot of bottlenecks at the moment, a lot of speed breaks, because certain ministries are not doing enough, to actually put at the disposal of the local councils the necessary resources and all of that. And that aside, there is equally you just mentioned the issue of contractors and so on, abandoning projects. Some of them do not even master the whole process and all of that, and then corruption that we cannot wipe out. It's an open secret that most of
Mr. Mayor,
the vote.
You are the one who.
No, let me just round up. It's an open secret that most of our vote holders, the mayors and so on, are indirectly owners of most of those projects. The contracts are awarded. They award contracts to themselves, and and at the end of the day, they are poorly realized. They don't have the material, the equipment.
Mr. Mayor, serious accusation.
It's not yet. It's not something new. Konak has come out with reports in that nature.
With the issue of contractors, I think to solve this issue, the government needs to adopt what the IMF compelled it to do with the facility on COVID. Like, when you are giving a contract to a particular firm, you must declare the beneficiary owners of that firm. Because most of the time you say this, let's say this etablissement, let's say Soya Satum is constructing this road. We don't know who is behind that company. If those firms are compelled to declare who the beneficiary owners are, it's going to help a lot, because people are going to hold those people to account personally. Yeah. Like I say, okay, Patrick, you own this
abandon this project.
Right? You abandon this project. Can you give explanations? The local population who are supposed to be the beneficiaries are going to benefit from that. So that's something which needs to be incorporated. Like the IMF compelled the government to do, and we saw how the results.
Yeah. I want to say that's his area of specialty, finance issues.
Yeah, let me link up, start off from where he has just ended. I think it's a very, very important issue he has raised. There's a village, I don't want to cite the name here. Participatory approach is the fundamental aspect of development in this country, which we have neglected. For example, at times you sit as a mayor, a contract is awarded at the level of Yaoundé, but you are there, you don't even know the terms of the contract, but you are there to be involved in the contract. But we are happy that the court on local region has emphasized and said it in one of his articles, that a mayor must be involved at all levels for any execution by the state or by any other individual. That said,
even when it is given from Yaoundé.
Of course. We have to move from somewhere. We have to move from somewhere.
Patrick just accused mayors and you are here.
I was giving the example of a village where electricity was extended. And the contractor, after the contract, the contractor came and unrolled all the cables and went back. Because the village never knew what was happening. So we have to be involved. That's the participatory approach we have to be involved in. I want to come back to what Patrick just said about contractors. It is true. The unfortunate thing is that the law for now says that lowest bidder. A contractor, but then a former minister told me something. I went to his office and he told me, my mayor don't only listen about lowest bidder. There's also what we call best bidder in contracts.
Okay.
Yes, best bidder in contracts.
Where is it in your transactions?
Yes.
Best bidder.
So for example, you see somebody.
Maybe what's best bidder?
Best bidder is that you must be able to assess that contractor and see his potential. For example, somebody will come and tell you, I take for example a bag of cement in Wumi 7,000. You have to come and do a contract in Wumi. You are telling me that you do it at a bag of cement of 3,000 francs. That's not it.
Is the Minister of Commerce aware of this?
No, because I want to be clear in the name of being the lowest bidder. The name of being the lowest bidder. And when
you will take something you cannot do.
The contract at the end of the day you cannot execute because.
But why should you give to the lowest bidder, Mr. Mayor?
It's a policy.
That's the contract.
Richard hasn't spoken yet. We started this topic by saying these are things that are known, and we have a whole follow-up. National follow-up committee with regional follow-up subcommittees. How do they do the follow-up? Can it be poor follow-up? Because if you follow up and you discover that this thing has not been well done, you should sanction. Richard,
you speak. I think when you say you should sanction, is this? I doubt if the person can actually sanction if you did not participate in the award of that contract. Normally your hands. Sometimes they say your hands are tied. Somebody comes with his contract file from Yaoundé and start executing, and you tell the person, no, please, this is what, without even knowing the specificity of that contract, you cannot even start directing what it should be done. And Killian, at the beginning of the year, the MINIPAD publishes various contracts. And the reason is for people to follow up and know that these are the contracts that are supposed to be executed and who is in charge. But unfortunately, when the contracts they start, nobody even comes up. Maybe the contractor has come and has given the DO or the mayor or whoever, the community leaders, bags of envelopes. They keep quiet and they execute poor contracts and go away. I regret the fact that in the evaluation, Northwest came last, a thing that had never happened. I mean, I pity that particular aspect. The Central region, which is in peace, came second to, with all the security, came second to that. I still think that my region
is not Yaoundé. Let us be very clear.
But everything is centered.
There's no part of the Central region that is facing insecurity.
It's not about security. It's also about difficult in getting to the remote areas of the Central region.
And getting there, Killian. And I'm sure the roads getting into those hinterlands have always appeared in the execution, in the budget, but have never been realized. Of recent, we saw what happened in the south. So we think that.
Let her react to follow up.
No, it's just that it's in line with what Richard is talking about.
I am very, very certain that there is a problem with the follow-up. They have created follow-up committees in various levels, which means that in case if there is a project going on, the population should be involved. The population should follow up and denounce those contractors who are trying to do shady things with for not executing the contract according to the specifications. It means that it is all of us, we are concerned. We will not expect that the state is there to create the environment, to give the facilities for us to do our own part. I am very sure that we have not done our own part. We are not doing it the way it's supposed to be done.
Do they have the means, madam?
At the end of the day,
madam, do they have the means?
At the end of the day, let me finish. At the end of the day, you see, they will attribute contracts to contractors. They will come to the field. They will execute, and those same people who are supposed to safeguard the execution of the contract will come and sign the delivery note to say that the contract has been executed, and then the state will end up paying something that has been abandoned. We have seen such cases. So it is our problem. We should be involved to make sure that things work the way it's supposed to be done.
There are instances, madam. There are instances where people have followed up. I think there is a particular case of a road in Limbe, which has been abandoned for more than 3 years now by a well-known contractor, and the population has been crying, but they cannot have access to. They comes once in a while, puts a few caterpillars, they get bad, he abandons the thing and goes.
Somebody
and he has already
said, yes, Patrick, please.
To follow up because, you know, they follow up is at the divisional level.
Okay.
Imagine you are doing a follow-up, for instance, in Mehmet's division in Kumba, and then there's somebody, let's say, right there in Bekondo.
No, it's difficult. Really. That would be
it's difficult.
Another issue
yes.
that
Patrick,
another
your
issue
last
that I
word.
just wanted to bring in is the issue about
fast, please,
the choice of the
we don't have up to 2 minutes.
The choice of the contracts, the projects that are destined for certain communities. Sometimes the community members really feel so unconcerned because the projects that have been allocated to the areas are undesired projects, so to say.
No, that is
that's
why we're talking about maturity of project. The project has to be mature. When the project is mature, it takes all of that into consideration.
It takes all of that. We are not refusing, but we are saying that what happens within the current dispensation is that we have found projects that are unworthy, projects that are undesired by those communities. There are communities that are in need of health facilities, but they are rather being allocated maybe classrooms into schools that are even understaffed. So we have to be very careful. You cannot just force people to participate, to be enthusiastic about a project. Meanwhile, they don't see how that project is going to impact their lives on a daily basis. So the issue about projects emanating from Yaoundé and being executed in remote villages, it should be a thing of the past. If we are talking about
decentralization,
the community should be able to propose their projects and have those projects.
If you do time check,
development plan, but it exists all on paper.
If you look at your watches,
but we started late.
Our time is up. Your last word, Madam Tabinyan.
My last word is that it's our thing. The investment project is our thing. We should take it at heart. We should try to do our best. The state is there to accompany us, create the environment for us to strive. So we should put our utmost best to make sure that the project that has been allocated in various localities should be well executed, so that all of us should benefit from the outcome of those projects.
Thank you very much.
The mayor said one thing. Let me just say something about who's the mayor.
No, we cannot start a new debate. Our time is up. Thank you very much. Thank you.
To say that it's time for us to use our consciences. We have all failed. It's time to rebuild.
Thank you. We should all rebuild. I think you had to say that. It's very important. We is what we have underlined in what we have said. All of us involved. Thank you very much, lady. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you from wherever you watch us. If you missed out or you joined us halfway into this program today, there will be a rebroadcast on Monday between 2:30 and 3. Thanks once again for watching and have a nice day.
Thank you.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.